Yeah, no, that's a really good point, Serini. So you have the game starting with her face and ending with her face. I didn't use Omni Slash against Sephiroth. No, I think I won with a counterattack, I think. Aerith could make him one with the life stream. That would have worked really well. Ryan Parker, half part as Thief, half part as Theft. Huh? Yeah, I would have liked it if, if instead of Cloud fighting Sephiroth at the end, if it would have been Aerith. If maybe you beat him and then... No, but I guess you kind of want to have that follow through. But I feel like we already beat him and then all of a sudden... Cloud just kind of sucked into out of nowhere. So maybe Sephiroth would go beyond to the next level. So it would make sense for Aerith to fight him there. But sometimes you can only bring somebody back and have one impact with it. But yeah, I like your idea, Serena, of her making a one with the live stream, because you can really easily assume that that's what they did. So why not make that a part of the whole cinematics? You know, you could have a little bit less of Barrett going, "What's that?" And you could have actually interesting things happening. So the ending is pretty epic. It's amazing how, God, does this not look so 90s? This looks like it was made for GeoCities. I don't know if you guys are old enough to know GeoCities websites. The first mid-90s, late 90s websites. Have her fight alongside you in the final battle would be pretty cool. Her show up and then she's oh my god, yeah, and she would be like fully formed. She'd have her final summons and stuff. Oh, that'd be so cool. That'd be so fun. Sephiroth like blows away one of your people and blows away the other one, and it's just Cloud and you're losing and you think there's no way I'm gonna beat this, and then boom, Aerith comes out of nowhere. And Tifa's like, oh. I feel like actually so much of the ending in this game is Tifa being disappointed about Aerith. Every time she thinks Aerith is out of the way, Aerith dies. And Cloud, I love her. Aerith is the best. And then you've got Cloud in a wheelchair. She gives up her whole life and everything to work with him as his nurse, basically, and he still just cares about Aerith. And then even when she thinks everybody's like dead at the end and it's just them two and tries to save them, he grabs her, and as they're hanging from a cliff, he's like, oh yeah, I'm thinking about Aerith. Oh, she's so great. Oh, fine, let's go see her. She's not alive, you idiot. But she kind of is, but she isn't really. We just saw her face. She was the green flash of light. Counterattack happens automatically, even if you don't have it equipped. You can't lose that fight. You either use Omni Slash or counter. Cool. Ever fight alongside in the battle? Yeah, that'd be great. A scene where Aerith and Sephiroth cannot hurt each other, and her choice is to make him one with the live stream or hate him forever. Her choice? I don't think she would hate him forever. I feel like Aerith has always felt like the most mature character in the game. And the deepest. She feels so beyond everyone else, and that could be myself partially. What do you call that? I don't know the word for it, but I might be conflating her with Terra from Final Fantasy VI, being another chosen one. They kind of look the same, but I mean, she was the chosen one, where Cloud was an imposter. However much she could hate him, he's made of the same live stream as her. I do like that, and that's the great thing about Aerith and Sephiroth together, is that they are going for the same thing. They want to be one with this live stream, but Sephiroth wants to use it for power, and Aerith wants to just protect the planet. Sephiroth thinks he's protecting the planet. That's the interesting thing about the characters and the storytelling in Final Fantasy VII. This one is that all the characters are trying to do the same thing. Like even Shinra and Rufus and his guys. They are all... no, not Rufus, sorry. Reno. The Turks. But they kind of have their own angle and perspective on it. Even like Rufus, Heidegger, the other girl that laughs all the time. You know, they've all got their own ideas. And Anaki and his grandfather. Even some of the towns embrace the materia. Other towns reject it. Other towns, I mean, you've got like the Golden Saucer and these other places living sort of high on the hog of materia and technology. And you've got the people at Corel that have suffered from it. And there's another town, too, where they've suffered from it as well. I mean, it's so cool to go from, like, the Las Vegas of Golden Saucer and these other places and, like, vacation resorts, and then actually go through slums where people are in dirt and in tents. You don't think the Turks even have their own ideas. They just do their job and leave the morals out of it. 500 years later. What the what? They're yin-yang. It is a great concept, for sure. She technically is. She's an ancient. Eris would be willing to put him to rest. You know, you're glad Eris stays dead. You don't want Sephiroth to be redeemed in any way. No. Yeah, I like... Oh, yeah, I remember this. Oh, goodness, little babies. I didn't realize he had fire on his tail. Boom. Is he going to name his kids Cloud and Eris? All the land you see, touched by the light. Oh, it's good. Oh, that's trashed Midgar. Red 14 and Red 15. Making him on with the lifestream wouldn't really be redeeming him, though. It would put a lot of power. I feel like Sephiroth did become one of the lifestream. Everything is a part of the lifestream, whether they want it or not. He's dead, so he's a part of the lifestream. This works well, segueing into The Last of Us. The technology and the greenery taking over. That's it. Okay, back to here. Well, overall thoughts on the game. I was worried it wasn't going to hold up as well after playing Final Fantasy X and how good Final Fantasy X is. And this definitely is not paced as well as 10 because it's longer. It's more of a traditional, give you a lot to do. And I like that. This is a game that you could do a lot with where, you know, if you were younger and you only had one game or you really wanted to get your money's worth out of it, there's so much to just explore and find randomly. So many secrets. That exploration is really rewarded. And so it's bigger and it's a little looser than 10. I mean 10 is still definitely the best for me, but I thought that 10 was going to after like playing it right before this, it was going to change my sort of nostalgia for this. I thought maybe too much of my nostalgia and personal feelings propped this one up in my mind, but although there's some saggy bits in the middle, the ending gets a little more anime, I still think that it retains a pretty personal connection, and the ambiance and the style and the atmosphere are still super strong. I always knew that was going to be great, but I still enjoyed most of the story, and it's just a bit more meandering. But that first act of the game is so strong. The second is sort of meandering on purpose because they want you to. Maybe like the middle to the part after the middle. Van translations to improve the storytelling quite a bit. Well, yeah, it feels like the storytelling and the translation especially really fall off a cliff in the last 20 hours of the game. It seems like all of a sudden Cloud's saying stuff like, "Come, planet, now is the time to be doing." He's talking like fourth-rate Shakespeare. The game is over, Solace. That's it. And yeah, making him on at the live stream wouldn't redeem. It would give Eris the power, and it would fit the narrative without changing the plot. I'll check out that painting as well. But it's, you know, it's in that style where they want to open it up and give you a lot more things to do and encourage you to go look for what's their name? Yuffie and Vincent's wife and all this stuff. I mean, you could think of how many hours you could have got out of this game. Like, you could have had 3 different playthroughs. And while in 10 I love the strategy and the battles, There were a lot more interesting battles in this than I thought there would be, and I actually didn't mind the ATB system. I thought it worked pretty well. And the materia is so fun because you're not screwed if you make one character a certain way or not, because you just move the materia around, which is why I really like that, because it definitely feels more like an RPG in that way, where you have full customization. You come up with these materia combinations, and the way that they bind together is so cool, where you're coming up with these effects that you're not even aware of. And something like putting that Hades summon that gives the enemy a bunch of status effects, putting that and linking that with your armor and added effect is so cool. So it still holds up really well. I'm really glad that this still exists. It'd be really interesting, obviously, to see the remake. It's going to be so different, but the same story and retelling of it. But I'm glad you can still play this in its form. It'll be interesting after playing the remake if we'll feel like this is still necessary. I still appreciate it for just the combination of all the different technologies. I mean, there's elements from the 8-bit, 16-bit era in here. There's this cutting-edge CGI. There's the 32-bit 3D polygons, mixed with the beautiful pre-rendered backgrounds, the CD quality visuals. All the Final Fantasy compilation stuff really makes something out of Cloud versus Sephiroth rivalry, but it really wasn't even a rivalry in the original game. No, it really wasn't at all. It was Cloud liking Sephiroth and just being inspired like many people. Cloud and Sephiroth really have nothing. They don't really have a relationship at all. They're nothing. Even Sephiroth and Zack. Cloud just happens to be there when he's just the right guy at the right time. And he rises to the challenge. So it's not even like a fate thing. It's really more about Aerith being an ancient and him being an ancient. And it's kind of like Star Wars, where these are the powerful people with the magic ability. And Sephiroth has the ability to do this because he's an ancient, and so does Aerith, and that's it. It was a Cloud versus his memories of Midgar, and Aerith versus Sephiroth as well, and Aerith versus Tifa. Yeah, like I said earlier, I think that it's mostly Tifa being disappointed, but having to give up that disappointment for the greater good. Cloud being disappointed in himself and giving that up for the greater good. Sephiroth being disappointed in his background and not giving it up. And because he's so obsessed with it, that's his downfall. And if he was successful, it would have been the downfall for the planet. And then what would he have done? Just been an ancient up in space? He's like using summons from other planets and smashing those. I don't really see his plan. I guess he wants to be a part of the lifestream that's beyond the planet itself, or maybe he thinks he's helping the planet. But because Sephiroth can't accept his past, and his heritage or whatever, that's why he becomes the villain and why he fails in the end. And Barrett too. Barrett has to come to terms with his past and possible failures with Corel. And Nanaki has to accept what his father was. And that he was experimented on, right? Well, yeah, and he was created, right? Was he created in a lab? I can't keep all this stuff straight. Who created who? Once you start introducing the unreliable narrator, where some stuff is unreal, it gets pretty confusing, especially with Genova having these all-encompassing powers. Tifa wanted Cloud. Yeah, she really did. She always did. Some fans want more backstory in Genova, but you prefer leaving all of that a mystery. It does more for her. I think so too. I don't need to know what the ancients did, where they came from. I don't need to know. It just kind of makes it more confusing and less powerful. Red 13 wasn't created, just captured and experimented on. Okay, good. That makes sense. He didn't feel belonging in soldiers, so as soon as he found belonging, he just went with that. Yeah. Cloud we're talking about? Kate Sith. Did he accept anything? I guess he accepted, well, he went against... He made a change for the good. They all sort of made... The good characters made, personal good connections and changes. And, acceptance. They all had good personal growth. Those are character arcs. That story, where it's not just about lore. It's about characters going through things and how these things affect them. I mean, look at Sephiroth. Sephiroth isn't cool because of his crazy power. For me, he's a cool character because he's damaged and he has to deal with that and how he chooses to deal with that. So that's what I really like. All right, thank you for that prelude. Yeah. We hope Aeris is still really cheeky and flirty in the remake and not turned into Yuna 2.0 like she is in Crisis Core and Advent Children. Oh, yeah. She needs that spark. She's living on the streets. She's constantly like trying to be captured, but she still fights to have the beauty of it. Robert Vernon. Sephiroth isn't an ancient. Is he sort of like descendant of one? Does he have ancient DNA in him or something? Huh. Yeah, I find it hard to keep all that stuff straight. But like I was saying, the part that I find interesting about Sephiroth is not necessarily his roots or the lore of it. It's that his internal struggle with it. And yeah, and to your point, Daryl, if they make her more caring to the point of putting her enemy to rest, that'd be really something. Oh, Sereni's trying to find a way to... Let's take that and twist it into what Sereni wants to do with the story. Sephiroth is a human infused with Genova cells. Sephiroth isn't related to ancients at all, but he thinks he's an ancient. Ah, I see. Yeah, I want Aeris to be... I really want them to do a lot with their character because she is really the best character and the hero of the story. And then she leaves halfway through the story. So she needs to have a huge... That's the tough part with her. Is that for her return to be powerful, you need to really have her make a great impact with the player and the characters early on. And then because your connection with her is so powerful and she's so meaningful, and she gets killed, so that becomes really rough. But then her return is more powerful. And they could actually do a lot more with that. I mean, they basically just had kids sort of hint that she was coming. And they had Cloud hinting at it. And Tifa being like, okay, yeah, let's go see her. And then you just see a flash of her face at the end. They could do so much more with her. And I really hope they do. And I think they need to flesh that story out some more. But yeah, I mean, she's a street girl who believes in flowers. Because she wants it. I mean, well, she needs to make money, but she also grows flowers in an abandoned church. And her whole story in the beginning is basically what happens at the end of the earth growing over this terrible city of Midgar. How cool is that? She's, such a great character and has such a great idea. Whereas Cloud doesn't care about anything. That's an easy thing to do, not care about anything. Whereas Aeris is like, yeah, my life kind of sucks and we live in a terrible place, but I'm going to make a difference. Same with Barrett, trying to make a difference. And Tifa is like, I own a bar, but I'll help the rebellion. And fight. Oh, it's such a great cast of characters. I feel sort of closer to the characters in Final Fantasy VII and the world of it, maybe than 10. But I think 10, just pound for pound, line for line, is a better game and probably a better story. It's just Cloud is annoying. And then he's eventually redeemed. But yeah, he's a bit of a whiner. But so is Luke Skywalker in A New Hope. I just wish they made him less whiny as he went along. It's not almost like until the very, very, very end until he sort of comes around and starts talking like like an adult and somebody mature. Something Crisis Core explains is that when Shinra discovered Genova, they thought she was an ancient, and they injected her cells into people to give them powers, etc. God, Shinra, these bastards. Anything they think is an ancient, they just start injecting the cells into everybody willy-nilly. Yeah. Only after did they learn she wasn't an ancient, she was actually an alien. And the effects of her cells boosting strength and power was unexpected. Okay. So Sephiroth was a failed experiment. That's why he's pissed, and that's why he's powerful. But yeah, what makes it interesting is how he reacts to it and how everyone else reacts to his power. That's the great part. Not just random power. I'd probably play it again. I don't know if I'd play it all the way through again. Maybe. I think how I would probably end up playing through it again is I'd probably want to fire it up again and go through the beginning. And then I would just want to stay with it. And then you end up at the end, But for 1997, this would have blown your mind. Laying the groundwork for 10. PC version with mods is like a whole new game. See, I should maybe try that. I don't know if I have time before the... when's the remake come out? 7 weeks. Jesus Christ. That means I got to beat Last of Us 7 weeks. That shouldn't be a problem. But we're good to go. We're ready. I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of it. The nice thing about playing this on stream is that I'm playing with people that have a lot of different perspectives on it, old and new. And a lot of the things that I'm foggy with, and even still are foggy with now, are constantly getting explained to me. It's sort of like learning a language in a place where everyone's speaking the language. It's constantly, you're being exposed to it all the time. So, yeah, Final Fantasy VII still holds up. Excited for the remake. And I still love this game. I could still come back to it. The first quarter of this game is so cherished. I was really worried about what they're going to do with all this extra crap they're adding in and Nomura's influence. But the second second half of the game, I would say, is like, okay, we have this version. Just do something new. But please just do it because you want to not expand on it. Because you want to do it justice and flesh out the parts that need to be fleshed out and not just random things. It's like there's a lot in the second half of the game that could be fleshed out and re-explained a lot better. But I don't feel like the first half of the game really needs to be. That stuff works. But yeah, so I'm really interested in a PC version with a better translation. That could be fantastic. Is it one of the best of all time? Well, it's definitely one of the most impactful of all time. It made the PlayStation recognized in the mainstream because the commercials for this game with the CGI was so far beyond what people had seen before, and they had such a strong ad campaign for it that it really helped the PlayStation. I think it's the second best selling PlayStation 1 game of all time. I don't know what the first is. Metal Gear Solid 1, maybe? God, talk about a difference in how many hours of gameplay you get out of these two games. You could do one playthrough of this game, probably the first time you play it, minimum. God, a lot of it is padded out with the battles and stuff. So... But, you're still going to play this game for like 50 hours. And probably more if you want to explore everything else. But I'm just so glad they introduced the way to these in the remasters. Speeding up and removing the battles when you don't need them is just amazing. Because it's, like, who wants to explore a world if you're constantly getting interrupted, right? It was Gran Turismo? Whoa. Gran Turismo, they found a way to make those cars look basically photorealistic at the time. And the instant replays and the lighting and the reflections. Oh my God, Gran Turismo 1 was just insane. That was a good argument for the PlayStation style of 3D graphics. Because it was really tough for anything to look better than Mario 64, that style of simplistic, no texture. But Gran Turismo made an argument for it. And Gran Turismo is also big in Europe, so you've got, and probably Asia. So you've got 3 different continents buying it. So, yeah, they were popular too. Racing games have really fallen off. Racing, flying, sci-fi. Like, how is there not more like space pilot games? I guess they just don't sell, so they've given up on them. It's crazy. All right, that was fantastic. And what do you guys think?